Woyome, and following the controversial 51.2 million cedis debt owed the state. Now, the Alliance for Social Equity and Public Accountability, ASEPA, calls for bipartisan parliament probe into allegations between the Electoral Commission chair and her deputies. Elsewhere around the world, we'll be looking at Rwanda's election. Now they go to the polls today for their presidential elections, with incumbent Paul Kagame widely expected to win for the third term. My name is Martin Asiedu-Dartey. Details of our stories now, and starting from issues surrounding the threat story that broke yesterday, the government of Ghana has dispelled reports that Ghana has been highlighted as facing a looming terror attack. Information we've also gathered indicate that according to the statement by the National Security Ministry, which was issued through the Information Ministry, the alerts are only standard cautions and do not represent any specifically known terrorist threat to Ghana. The statement further indicated that the nation's security agencies will be aware if there is any threat through collaboration and intelligence sharing arrangements that it has with its international allies. The statement signed by Information Minister Mustafa Hamid also assured the nation that they remain safe and that there is no need for a fear of terror. Now let's go to the courts. The International Criminal Court, International Court of Arbitration, I beg your pardon, of the International Chamber of Commerce, ICC, has dismissed a petition by Ghanaian businessman Alfred Agbeshi-Woyome over the controversial 51.2 million Ghana cedi debt owed the state. A cost of $5,000 has been awarded against Mr. Woyome, who was seeking to defend the judgment paid to him by the state. The action he initiated at the ICC in March this year follows last year's Supreme Court judgment that he received the money through fraudulent means, as there was no contract between him and the state, that is Ghana. Until Mr. Woyome initiated the action at the ICC, he had refunded to the state a total of 4 million cedis out of the 51.2 million cedi judgment debt sum. The court on August 3 dismissed the case at the preliminary stage on grounds that it lacked jurisdiction as per Article 6(4) of the court. All right, let's try to get some legal understanding to this story. We've been joined by Martin Pebu. He is a lawyer and also practices privately, and we want to put a few questions to him. Mr. Pebu, good afternoon. Thank you very much for joining us via Skype.
Guys, good afternoon.
To start with, what we are hearing is that Mr. Woyome's case to the ICC was dead on arrival, and from preliminary information you have also gathered, is that the case, and why would you think his lawyers advised him to go ahead if it didn't carry the necessary content of jurisdiction?
Well, you know, desperate times require desperate measures, so it would appear. So you know that sometimes when a person is in trouble, he would want to try as many options as may appear reasonable to him. But with hindsight, it is now the case that that particular attempt has not yielded any fruit. So
right.
These things happen.
And from the case that he had and thought was good enough for him to take it to court, what is your reading of it? was it okay for him to have gone there whilst in Ghana he was also, under some court proceedings?
Legally, it didn't look tidy at the time, but professionally, usually, as a lawyer, it's not appropriate to comment about another party's case when you are not privy to all the information he has. So you see that at the time he applied to the ICC, we didn't have all the information that he had. So we would just break it out with hindsight. Yes, we've seen that he really didn't have a case.
What remedies are there for him now? I mean, he thought that the international legal institution coming into play would at least give him some respite in terms of, pushing his case. But with this dismissal, what does that mean to the case?
Yeah, so it means that in October, he would have to return to the Supreme Court for the oral examination to proceed. And so far, you would recall that from the last sitting, he had disclosed to the court that at least there is a property that he owns. So, barring any unforeseen strange circumstances, it means that at least the Republic has made some progress to the extent that he says that property, is it the one in Adabraka, belongs to him.
Yes.
So the expectation is that with further cross-examination, the state would be able to uncover more properties that Mr. Woyomi would have to give up for the state to sell, to auction, in order to pay the judgment debt.
But is it standard practice that the highest court of any land, maybe, so for in Ghana, it is the Supreme Court. Is it standard practice that the Supreme Court would give a ruling, then someone can take it to an international court for what, arbitration? Is it normal for that to happen?
Well, I'm not sure if I can use the word normal, but let me say it's happened, yes. You remember this case? We've had precedents in the past. You remember this case of Balkan Energy? The Supreme Court, that's the case concerning the Osagefo badge.
Yes.
Yeah, the Supreme Court gave judgment that the power purchase agreement under which the government signed, agreed with Balkan Energy for them to carry out the repairs of the Osagefo and all those. The Supreme Court held that the agreement was void and that Ghana was not bound by it. But subsequently, Balkan Energy continued with their international arbitration. So it's happened before. And the last time I read in the papers, it appears they are even about to settle that matter.
Okay.
So as I mentioned, you see, in law, it's difficult to, let's say, dismiss somebody's case when you are not privy to all the documents.
Okay.
At least in this particular case, as a state, we are very happy and fortunate that the ICC has thrown out the Woyomi case so that at least we can recover the money.
Okay.
So we should say we'll take it one case
at a time,
after the other.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Kpebu, for making time to speak with us. Martin Kpebu is a private legal practitioner and sharing his thoughts on the ICC's dismissal of Mr. Alfred Agbeshi-Woyomi's case. We'll see how it unfolds in the coming days. But let's go to Parliament now. The chairman of the Parliamentary Select Committee on Transport, Samuel Ayepaye, has denied claims that Parliament has approved the towing levy fee submitted for consideration. He hinted that Parliament will annually review the towing fee to ensure value for money. He was speaking at the Public Education Bureau Forum on the road safety fee in Accra. Here's a report by Frederick Clarence Williams.
I give them the highlights I've given to you. And the next day, what I heard is that Parliament approved of road safety fee. What we did is a proposal to the minister. The minister is going to take our proposal on board, as he said, to meet his technocrats at the ministry and meet cabinet, and then show our report to cabinet. And cabinet and the ministry will take our reports as part of their inputs to decide the way forward. At the implementation stages, whilst we are implementing it, issues may come up. It is there that we can address. We cannot address all the challenges and issues on the drawing board. It is never done that way. When, as an engineer, when you want to build an engine, the sketches alone cannot give you the total performance of the engine. That is why you are calculating for the cubic capacity of a vehicle. It is different from after you have constructed or built the engine and you run the engine to test the capacity of the vehicle. You are never going to have the same capacity as what we had during the calculation. So it is important we allow the system to run.
His submission begs the question, at what point did we all miss it as a nation where we say that, okay, Parliament has given the go-ahead for September 1, the country begins collecting these levies. Now he's denying it flatly. But we hit the street to ask Ghanaians what they made of this mandatory road to levy that is likely to commence from the 1st of September. And this is what they had to say.
The Roads and Transport Committee of Parliament has given its approval for the implementation of the mandatory towing levies scheduled to be effective next month. But this has been greeted with strong opposition from the public, with some describing it as illegal and extortion from Ghanaians. What do you also think?
To me, dear, me as a commercial driver, me nam Accra hano dear, Mwame. Because highway for no, those supposed to pay that money. That's why me I nam hano man I will say, I'm not agree. I heard they were going to implement it. So I thought the education would be very much important so that people will understand why they are paying the money.
I will side with a lot of people who think that there's not much education because most of the times a lot of people are illiterate. And sometimes when you come out with some programs, people want to know the reason why they want to pay something like that. So at least it's in the right direction to be able to educate the people.
All right, so the debate continues following the latest response from the chair of the Parliament Select Committee on Transport. He says he did not say Parliament has given the go-ahead and that it was just a submission to the Transport Ministry. We've been joined in studio by Edgar Redu. He is an insurance marketer and has also followed this particular story quite keenly. I want to put a few questions to you because we are told that you have, first of all, made some public comments indicating that it is not true that at least 21% of the deaths recorded on our roads are as a result of parked cars or, broken down vehicles. First of all, are you surprised about the latest position by the chair of the Transport Committee in Parliament?
Well, let me say good afternoon to your viewers. And is it the word surprise? But I think they are a disappointment. Parliament itself, the Transport Committee, and then the Minister and his deputy, they are all a disappointment. You see, first of all, we must appreciate a few things. This is a program that has been set up without, first of all, going for the, that is a tendering, public procurement law. This is the first thing that we must look at. That if the National Road Safety Commission found it necessary that there is some kind of menace on our roads and therefore needs to be kept, then there's a need for we to get the services of a towing company. What they needed to do was to have first brought in a tender get all the laws done, go through Public Procurement Authority and all that. Nothing of this sort has been done. And you sit in your office with some people, and then you create and milk and loot the people. And you use this at the end of the day, and you see, it's so disappointing. So Parliament is sitting there and is not even seeing that this thing has not gone through the right processes. So in order to justify that, they come and say 25% of the road accidents are caused by broken down vehicles and what have you. I would appreciate it if you, the journalists, go to the Ghana Statistical Service and ask for the data.
That data was actually made public by the National Road Safety Commission.
Yes.
And so they were of the view that based on statistics they've gathered from the many accidents that happen across the country, information they've been able to put together indicate that broken down vehicles contribute substantially to the accidents, for which reason they think they need to
That's what I'm saying. National Road Safety Commission submitted a data. We have the Statistical Service, that is the one that provides authentic data for everything we do in this country. Now, number two, I am saying that the insurance industry, we are the people that pay claims on these, accidents, the claims that come in. The data that we have, that has been produced by the police's own police reports, is less than 2% of the total figure of claims we pay. So where is this information coming from? And are we suggesting that because you want to create milk and share?
Is that how you see it? Is that the impression
you get? Of
course,
because at the end of the day, why did he not present it to the Public Procurement Authority and say that this is the thought we have as trying to clear the menace of our roads? And therefore, we want a company that can do the job and throw it out there and let people bid for it. Why do you sit in your office with somebody and then plan the whole thing?
But Mr. Redu, how about those who are arguing that, for instance, I have an idea of how best I can rid the city of filth, and I think that if I use this channel to clear it is better, and I pitch the idea to a minister, and it goes through and they say, well, then you have the go-ahead to do it. Is that wrong?
When there is an existing law, the Road Traffic Act itself, this is just an LI. The Road Traffic Act itself makes it clear that it is an offense to leave your car on the road. Why are you not questioning the policeman? The policeman who was speaking at that forum, talking about the percentages. Why did you not query the policeman that you have a duty to clear those things off the road? Why have you failed to clear the things off the road and you want to milk the ordinary Ghanaian and collect 2.5% of the proceeds?
So for you, it is not just that the concept is questionable, but then the fact that they are giving out the contract itself.
The concept is already part of our existing laws.
Right.
That when your car is involved in an accident, you get a tow truck to tow it. The insurance company's duty is to pay for the bills. That there are two things. Either you inform the insurance company immediately and they are in the position to have it towed, fine. Or you tow it, you bring your bill to the insurance company. It's part of the insurance policy. They pay for it. Now we are talking about broken down vehicles, not accident vehicles. Anything can happen to you. And that is where the duty of the police comes in. You tow the car and surcharge the person. Okay. Why are you failing to do that?
Is the police going to be able to do that? This is a countrywide project. So you think the police can be able to do that? Why not
there are private
outsourcing?
Listen, you know something? When you stand by the motorway, just around Achimota, the bridge, the Apenkwa bridge, when you go to there are all kinds of private people with these tow trucks,
yes.
Right? And that is also, if you think that there's a need for that, bring it out properly. And then the question is, the one who renders the service, he charges you and then you pay. So why do you want individuals? Now, there's something that is very crucial in these things that we're doing. One of the things is this. One, the minister and his deputy, they must be very careful with some of these things. Okay. The job that they have to do, they are not doing. If they want to clear things off the road, then they must know that what they have to do is rather prepare a document to cabinet. For cabinet to immediately, make another proposal to parliament for the waiver of duties and taxes on some special vehicle parts that are causing accidents on our road. Okay. And that is what they need to do.
Okay.
But their failure to do that is going to create more problems. And the insurance companies are going to increase the premiums soon. Because the government promised to do it, so the insurance companies fell low. Now they fail to do it.
Also come in.
No, so the insurance companies who are now going to increase the premium. So you should expect that very soon their premiums will be going up as a result of the failure to do this.
I mean, certainly it's still an unfolding debate with various angles and arms and legs popping out on a daily basis. But we'll see how it goes. Now that the Transport Committee in Parliament chair says that they've only made a proposal to the ministry, we'll see what the ministry's response will be in the coming days. Trust TV3 will keep you posted on it. We've been speaking with Edgar Reid. He's an insurance marketer and also a key media person. Thank you very much for speaking with us. Let's move on to some other stories here on Midday Live. The Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association has implored Cabinet to direct the Ministry of Finance to provide financial clearance to privately trained nurses. The association is of the view the aggrieved nurses must be employed even though they attended private institutions.
The national president of the association, Kwekwa Sante-Krobia, insisted private nurses should be employed by government. He recalled a memorandum of understanding between private nurses institutions and government to employ the personnel. Currently, more than 3,000 of the private nurses are mounting pressure on government to be employed. But some have argued government is under no obligation to employ the nurses since they attended private institutions. President of the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association, Kwekwa Sante-Krobia, disagrees.
They should be offered employment because government is giving employment to their counterparts who are trained in public sector institutions. And why am I saying that? The government believes that we still need nurses and midwives to work in the health training, in the health facilities. That has been our position. We have a yawning gap of nurse-patient ratio in this country.
Although the association insisted on the government employing the nurses, it was of the view their picketing at the ministry was unfair.
To be honest with you, the solution to the problem that these private sector trained nurses claim they have is not in the hands of the Minister of Health. So picketing at the Ministry of Health doesn't help. I would rather advise that. Of course, I have told you picketing is not good. If it were good and acceptable, I would have rather advised that they go to the Ministry of Finance, the place where the bottleneck is very serious and acute.
If you go and display your cooking utensils and your sleeping places, washing and doing all kinds of things at the ministry, I think it is, to me, it is an embarrassment. We shouldn't be doing that.
The association has again pleaded with Cabinet to direct Finance Ministry to provide the clearance to the students.
You are talking about Ministry of Finance. Is Ministry of Finance is not part of government? So why should it be difficult? The Cabinet will simply have to take a decision and get Ministry of Finance to grant financial clearance for the employment of these people if government himself believes that indeed we need these nurses.
Let's go to some other stories. The Alliance for Social Equity and Public Accountability, ASEPA, is calling for a bipartisan parliamentary probe into the allegations between the Electoral Commission and her deputies. The group also wants the probe to be telecast live for all to see. You would recall that a group of persons who call themselves concerned workers of the Electoral Commission petitioned the president to impeach Madam Charlotte Osei. Now, the president, following that, has also forwarded the petition to the Chief Justice for onward investigation to ascertain whether or not there is a prima facie case. Now, we've been joined in studio by the Executive Secretary of this group. They are asking that a bipartisan probe. What's even the meaning of that? Thompson Mensah is the Executive Secretary of ASEPA. He's joined us in studio. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us.
Good afternoon, Martin.
What is the meaning of a bipartisan probe into what has already started its natural constitutional process?
Thank you, and good afternoon to your listeners and your viewers. First of all, a bipartisan probe, and exactly what we are calling for is Parliament. You know, it's the main arm of government that has major political party representation recognized. And for issue of this magnitude, if you want transparency to prevail, then you may want the people who have the major stakes in the Electoral Commission, which are the political parties, to also have much say in the outcome of this particular matter. And that's why we are saying that. Now, we are not asking the Chief Justice to set constitutional provisions aside. What we are asking for is that you're going to set up a committee made of judges to look at the issues, okay? Now, to make the work of even this panel easier, Parliament will first even look at the issues and the surrounding circumstances before they recommend their recommendations to the CJ and the panel. And so to only make the work easier and more transparent.
Okay. We know that, I mean, Article 1463 clearly stipulates what procedure there should be. And that procedure has already started. It states that when someone wants to petition an Article 71 office holder, you petition the president then forwards it, and the president has acknowledged receipt and then the onward forwarding. Why do you not think we should allow this process to end and that we should even consider this?
Martin, we are calling for this discretionary approach because there are a lot of political undertones to this particular matter.
Political undertones?
Undertones. You remember when this issue broke up, there were a lot of public pronouncement both on air and on radio and on other media forums, right, and even among a section of the public about, you know, there are even allegations about the ruling government's involvement in this particular matter. These are all allegations. These are not issues you can just brush aside.
And you think that the committee that the Chief Justice will set up to look into it wouldn't be able to uncover this or deal decisively with these concerns that you're talking about?
That's why we stated clearly in our petition that we are not doubting the capabilities of this panel who are going to look at the issues. Right. What we are saying is that the people who have major stakes in this political part, in this Electoral Commission matter, are the political parties, and that is why
it is even worsening the situation if we politicize this. Do you not think?
Yes, and that is the part.
Yes, you agree.
I agree, and that is the part I want us to take off. And so, if the political parties are even involved, then after the outcome of this particular matter, nobody have any justification to go on the street and say, "I don't agree with the outcome of this particular matter."
No, but if the committee comes out to state its position, and the Chief Justice takes it on, submit to the President, and whatever the outcome may be, is done, why would any political party raise concerns? Because immediately we bring in, already the waters have become murkier because NDC has spoken, MPP has spoken, now the PPP is also speaking. So we want it to be devoid of political connections whatsoever. Do you not think that would be a better approach?
This particular matter cannot be devoid of the political undertones. You cannot separate it from this particular matter because right from the beginning, the NDC is of the view that the NPP has always been against the chairmanship of Madam Charlotte Osei at the Electoral Commission, and so now that they have power, they will do anything possible to oust her. And so those allegations are clear. Now, the NPP is also saying otherwise. Now, how do we get to the point where we say, okay, at the point that we are reaching, all these major stakeholders in this particular matter understands the outcome or are clear with the outcomes, and so even the work that is going to be done by the bipartisan parliamentary committee is going to be reviewed by the panel, which the CJ is going to set up. All we are saying is that we want some transparency to prevail in this particular matter. Nothing done under the sheets, no shadiness, so that at the end of the day...
Are you suspecting some underhand dealings, you think?
You see, we have to consider all the angles in this particular matter. This is a very sensitive issue. The Electoral Commission is the backbone of our democracy. And so if anything happens to it, we are in deep trouble. And so when tackling issue concerning the EC, we have to be cautious and exercise all the discretionary powers.
And is it because of the transparency you're looking forward to, that's why you want it to be telecast live on TV?
Exactly. So you remember that during the election petition, the same thing happened. It was live on TV and everybody.
Okay. We've been speaking with Thompson Mensah. He is the Executive Secretary of the association known as the Alliance for Social Equity and Public Accountability, ASEPA. They want the issue to be dealt by also a bipartisan parliamentary committee. We'll see how that goes in the coming days. But thank you very much for speaking with us. This is still Midday Live on TV3. Let's do some student politics. The University Students Association of Ghana, USAG, has cautioned all students in public tertiary institutions not to pay any fees until Parliament approves the amount to be charged. At a news conference in Accra, leadership of the association accused management of the various tertiary institutions of charging exorbitant fees.
The leadership of the association is disturbed about the exorbitant fees charged by the public tertiary institutions. Currently, some of the institutions are charging more than 2,000 Ghana cedis, a situation which has ruffled feathers among students. Already, the Sector Minister of Education, Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh, has requested all institutions to submit their fees for approval. The University Students Association of Ghana, USAC, has called on all students not to pay any fees now. Emmanuel Kwatin Frempong is the president of USAC.
We are also telling VC Ghana that after even Parliament has approved the fees, they should now tell students the breakdown of that fees. Because it is only when I know the breakdown of the fees, that is where I know that I'm not being cheated. For instance, I know that ID card, I'm paying A amount or B amount. I know that this is the right amount of fees that I'm supposed to pay. So generally, we don't see the reason why the university education continues to be on the high rise.
The leadership of the students has condemned the recent assault meted out by some security officers on national service personnel. USAC is asking the heads of the security service to apologize to the students' body.
Going forward, there should be an advanced technology where students or prospective personnel can sit in the comfort of their homes and register, so that the matter of national service becoming a national suffering will not be there, but it will be that people will be ready to serve their country in happiness and joy.
Meanwhile, the association is asking the leadership of the National Union of Ghana Student NUBS to seek out-of-court settlement or risk industrial unrest.
Is that we are giving them a 14-day ultimatum to remove or withdraw every case from court so that we can go ahead with the running of the administration of NUBS, so that we can get voices that will be speaking on behalf of the students of Ghana.
This is still Midday Live on TV3. We will be back with more. Stay with us. Thank you very much for staying with us. Time now for business. And the construction of the Terminal 3 project at the Kotoka International Airport is expected to be completed in 270 days, counting from August 3. The $274 million project, when completed, will have the capacity to handle 5 million passengers a year.
The new terminal is situated at the round airside, stretching to the old airport fire station to the hangar area of the Kotoka International Airport, KIA. The completion of Terminal 3 is to expand facilities at KIA to accommodate the increasing passenger throughput and increasing the number of airlines using KIA. During a tour of Terminal 3, Minister for Aviation Cecilia Dapa said the project will improve the existing on-ground infrastructure in line with growing international travel demand and position the country as an attractive aviation hub in the sub-region.
Next year, God willing, we'll open this edifice as the biggest infrastructure on this compound, and we hope to get more passengers to pass through. This is in line with the vision of the President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, to make Ghana a destination of choice. Trust us, we will have a maintenance schedule for this beautiful edifice.
The African Development Bank, AFDB, has invested as much as $120 million in the T3 project. President of the AFDB thinks the expansion project will help provide jobs.
When President Akufo-Addo spoke to me, he was talking of Ghana is back, and I think by the time you have an airport facility that can take 5 million passengers a year, that's fantastic. We're very pleased that this will help a lot the economy of Ghana. It will help a lot also in terms of regional integration, and we create a lot of jobs.
Minister for Finance Ken Oforiatta lauded AFDB for the support.
In this type of cooperation, as you can see, leads to things like this being manifested. We've talked a lot about aviation, we've talked about agriculture, we've talked about industry and energy, and I think with the type of performance he's seen here, we are sure to get more funding from him.
Terminal 3 will have the capacity to process 1,250 passengers at peak hours, a large retail and commercial area, 3 business lounges, 6 fixed links, and 7 air bridges expandable to 8, and parking space with capacity to handle more than 700 cars.
The Institute of Economic Affairs, IEA, says government should consider increasing the value-added tax rate by 1% to help fund its flagship free senior high school program. Now, addressing the press on the recent mid-year review of the 2017 budget, senior research fellow at the IEA, Dr. Eric Osei-Asibe, questioned the sustainability of the current financing source for the program.
Government is allocating 188.28 million cedis, representing 47% of the funding cost of the free senior high school policy from the 2017 budget. 211.72 million cedis, representing 53% of the funding cost, is expected from the annual budget funding amount from oil revenue. According to the Institute of Economic Affairs, the funding mechanism is highly volatile and not sustainable.
This funding arrangement could introduce another level of rigidity in the budgeting system. The annual budget funding amount source of funding, which contributes the major part of the total amount, as we all know, is not stable, specifically relating to fluctuating oil prices, which pose risk to sustainable funding of this initiative.
The IEA says government should consider increasing the value-added tax VAT rate by 1% to fund the program.
We believe that a more sustainable funding should be pursued domestically. For example, just as we did for NHIS, increasing the VAT rate by, say, 1% and ring-fencing it for exclusive funding of the free senior high school would be very ideal.
The IEA lashed out at banks as being unfair to customers with their relatively high lending rates. The IEA lashed out at banks as being unfair to customers with their relatively high lending rates.
It was our expectation that the reduction in monetary policy rate from 25.5% to 21% over the last 6 months and the fall in treasury bill rates from 16.4% to 12.08% in the same period would cause banks to reduce lending rates significantly.
The IEA says government is making significant progress in stabilizing the macroeconomy after a period of economic instability attributed to fiscal overruns in connection with the 2016 elections.
That is it for business. Time now for sports, but that will be after this. Before we go to the international community to find out what's happening there, we have a weather warning coming in from the Ghana Meteorological Agency, and it states that a moderate rainstorm observed today, August 4, 2017, at around 10:40 a.m. is currently over the northwestern part of Togo and is expected to produce moderate to heavy rains and clouds that are going to be cast with thunderstorm over the northern sector of the country. And they've given a breakdown. So here are the places likely to be affected. It says Upper East, Boko, Garu, Nakpanduri, Kamega, Nangodi, Bolgatanga, and Kanjaga. They are likely to experience these rainstorms around 1 p.m. and 4 p.m., between 1 and 4 p.m. And then also in the northern region, we have Nakpanduri, I beg your pardon, Bukpurugu, Gambaga, Palkalgu, and then Walwale. They are likely to experience the rains between 1:30 and 5 p.m. And then in the upper west region too, we're told that expect it between 3 o'clock and 6 o'clock, that is p.m. So please be advised. It is expected that the storms will be accompanied by strong winds, and so protect yourself. So this is from the Ghana Meteo. We'll put the details of this on our website, 3news.com, so you can go there and get updated. All right, time now for international news.
Rwandans are voting in a presidential election with incumbent Paul Kagame widely expected to win his third term in office. The 59-year-old is being challenged by Frank Habineza of the Democratic Green Party of Rwanda and independent candidate Felipe Mpayimana. Mr. Kagame has been in power since taking office in 2000, but critics accuse him of suppressing dissent and political freedoms. The two challengers have accused some local authorities of undermining their campaign. A large fire has ripped through a residential 79-story skyscraper in Dubai in the United Arab Emirates. Footage posted on social media showed flames spreading up the torch tower and burning debris falling to the street. It is not clear what caused the fire in one of the world's tallest buildings.
Time now for entertainment news. The family of the late highlife musician Papa Yankson and the leadership of the Musician Union of Ghana, Musiga, on Wednesday paid a courtesy call on the former President Jerry John Rawlings to officially inform him of the passing of the music legend. The former president sympathized with the family and pledged to assist them and also give the high life grade a befitting burial. He further charged musicians to use their music to campaign against corruption and other social vices. Dr. Toneyao Jegede, an associate of the former president, eulogized the late musician, describing him as a great icon who sang about subjects important to human development. The one-week celebration of the great high life musician will take place on Friday, August 4, which is today, at the Dansoman Keep Fit Club. And again, we say, may his soul rest in peace. Ghana's most beautiful is here. Yay! The ladies are anxious to know their fate, but organizers say they are taking their time to give audience the very best. The shortlisted ladies of the 2017 Ghana's Most Beautiful pageant are being taken through a final round of questioning, and answers will be expected from them to determine who makes it to the next round and who, unfortunately, may be going home. Watch this.
After passing the various medical tests, the ladies are being quizzed in matters of national concern, including culture and tradition, health and entertainment. This, organizers say, will be the final deciding factor to pick the 10 who will make it to the reality complex to represent their regions. The question and answer session became necessary after judges could not settle on one candidate for a region due to ties amongst the reps on their score sheets. Long-standing judge on the show, Linda Apau, who is leading the process, said the standard of the show has to be maintained, hence there is no rush to pick just anyone, but the best among the candidates. She stated further that it is not only about the physical looks, but also the extent of knowledge available to the ladies to make the competition more exciting. Producers say, though the process is still ongoing, the 20 ladies will each know their fate by close of day.
All right, so that's it for entertainment on TV3's Midday Live. We'll be back with more. All right, so on that interesting note, we bring the bulletin to a close. My name is Martin Asiedu-Dartey. Thank you very much for watching. Visit 3news.com for some more news. And also, the weather warning is there. Please go and get updated. Have a pleasant afternoon. And as always, stay positive. Bye for now.